Coming up on today's Next Fan Up podcast.
These guys are doing everything. They've got all the stories we need right now.
I mean, honestly, we don't care about what the fans think.
Big, hairy American winning machines.
What is that all about? It's all coming up in the Not a Week 5 recap. Here we go.
That's how we start. Yeah, baby.
32 super fans.
Where do the reports come from? Did you get an initial?
One PodVader.
That's football.
Every angle of the NFL covered.
All that kind of stuff, I get it.
This,
no question about it,
is Next Fan Up.
We're going to unleash hell here in December.
Hello and welcome to your Not a Week 5 NFL recap. I am PodVader. I am here with Eagles superfan James. Hello, James.
Hey, Pod.
And it is a wonderful Not a Week recap this week. I got to tell you, I think I've got some really uplifting sound this week. You know, normally we focus on the losers, but I think I got a lot of winners this week. I think I have more winners than losers this week.
Well, that would be a good thing. There are a lot of losers in the NFL right now, and not to harp on it early because I know we're going to get to it. Prayers up to Dak Prescott.
Definitely. Well, there's been a lot of talk about Dak Prescott and his future after the not so nice injury to his leg. That said, his horrific leg injury wasn't quite as horrific as Alex Smith's horrific leg injury. And Alex Smith made his triumphant return on Sunday.
Let's just call it a return.
Well, listen, based on the fact of everything that Alex Smith has done and has to have gone through to get back to an NFL field, there was triumph. Unfortunately, the outcome wasn't what he wanted, but it was definitely triumphant to see him on the field and see his family watch him take the field too. It's pretty heartwarming. So I have cut down. Alex Smith did like a 15-minute press conference. This is like the 4 best minutes of that particular press conference. So here is Alex Smith, the Washington football team quarterback, because we don't know if he's going to be starting or the backup. That gets addressed in here. Here we go.
You know, obviously very, very surreal at first. To have it happen as fast as it did was probably almost a blessing. You know, for me, obviously, just after, you know, I knew it once Kyle took that shot that there was a chance of it, and obviously run over, grab my helmet, get ready to roll. So it was kind of nice in that sense, not having to think about it. You just go out there and do it. You know, and then in that situation, kind of there into half, you know, working some, you know, trying to get the ball moving, and obviously getting into a 2-minute tempo was good as well. In the same sense, just no thinking, going and playing.
What did the first hit feel like?
That was it. You know, for me, I've been waiting for that a long time. It was hard this year with no preseason. You know, we wear the jerseys in practice, so, you know, you don't get touched much, but the first one felt good. It was nice to, you obviously know that you're fine and going out there, and you know, it was nice to kind of knock the cobwebs off, so to speak. You know,
it's interesting. There's a couple of things that he brings up in his return there that I wanted to touch on. And let's just start without getting hit. He hadn't been hit. That was the first time he'd been hit as a quarterback playing a football game. That's got to be a little freaky.
But yeah, definitely considering the last time he was on the field, well, we know what happened. That was 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
So, I mean, quarterbacks, when they come back, always worry about taking the first hit, especially when they're coming back from a lower leg injury. Pod, I know you dealt with this in some way, shape, or form with Brady's ACL when he came back, you know, going from week 1 to the next year's week 1. So
no, I thought you were going to talk about my own ACL injury, you know, because it was definitely a tough go for me.
You weren't hit though.
Listen, us tennis players, it's tough out there. You know, you gotta trust that knee is right there.
I'm guessing this is a body went one way, your leg went the other way, because I'm pretty sure your opponent didn't hit the ball hard enough to tear your ACL.
Yeah, when the injury occurred, I jumped and twisted, except I didn't leave the ground. and I did twist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what happened to my ACL.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, these players pretty much got hit in their legs. That's what caused these injuries.
They did end up asking him how the hit was like with Aaron Donald on his back, which has got to be kind of crazy. A near 300-pound man just hanging on your back. But he didn't really understand that. He didn't really answer the question in reference to that. I think he sort of misunderstood it and was just giving all the compliments he could to Aaron Donald being a beast. But that was asked of him. But there's some more questions here.
Your family was here, and when you came in, they gave you a little standing ovation. I know there's not many people in the crowd, so the reaction, I'm sure, would have been very different. But did you see that? And if you did, what did that mean to you?
Yeah, I did get to see my family. It was nice, obviously working out in the sense that they let family in for this game. Appreciated them being there. I know my wife felt better about things being here. Certainly, obviously, very cool to have my kids out there. And so, yeah, fun. I mean, in that sense, that was obviously great. But like I said, it's you're out there to play a game and go play well. And certainly it was tough for most of the second half getting anything going.
I can only imagine what was going through his wife's head as he's on the field and Aaron Donald is hanging on his back.
Yeah, I don't think that's a pleasant thought process that she was having at the time. I mean, Aaron Donald is, we know, a freak of nature at his position, so puts a lot of fear into opposing quarterbacks.
I mean, it was. I heard Nate Burleson talk about this on Good Morning Football, and he was talking about how he's played with some guys where the most insignificant injury occurred, and like a hangnail, and they tapped out. They're like, "No, I'm out. I'm good." And this is a man who almost lost his leg, almost lost his life, and has fought tooth and nail. Not to use a pun, but I just did, to get back on the field and to experience the brutality of the game once again. And yes, it's a little different when you're the quarterback. You don't necessarily experience the brutality as much as if you're, say, a running back or an offensive lineman or defensive lineman. But it is a brutal game. This is huge, giant freaks of nature that collide at top speed.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, not to take anything away from Alex, just the fact that he was able to put on the uniform this season and then step into the field, albeit probably not the way he wanted it to happen, in that situation with that game, that opponent. Washington was pretty much practically getting already beat up, and to have the starter named for that day, Kyle Allen, already getting knocked out the game, and then he has to come and try to salvage what was left of it. Even though it was early on, it was pretty much over when it started. So the fact that he even just stepped on the field and just played, despite the outcome is kudos to him on the recovery and everything, happy that he's back. But this was a game that was never in doubt.
Alex, Ron said if Kyle is okay and healthy to get, practice on Wednesday, that he'll be the starter next Sunday. After everything you've been through, is that something that you can just process as, okay, that's not a big deal? Or now that you've been back, is that burning desire really back to start, whatever you can?
I thought first off, Kyle, when he was out there, played great. I thought he played decisive, quick, and certainly obviously leading us down on the touchdown drive. I was really bummed for him. I was excited for his opportunity. He's a good kid, works really hard. And obviously this is out of our control. So whatever coach decides he goes with, that's his job. For me, it's doing what I need to do. These are reps that obviously I'll learn from and get better at, but whatever this team needs me to do, I'll do. And Kyle is healthy and gets the role, then I'm going to obviously support him every way I can and be ready to go again and better next time. Today was tough and not how I saw things going, that second half, like I said, obviously was tough. And, but yeah, whatever coach wants, I'll be ready and be ready to go.
Two more.
Alex, what does tonight look like for you now that you've gone through all this, with your family when you get home? Is there somebody, maybe a doctor, anybody that you're thinking of calling? Take us what tonight might look like for you?
Oh God. I mean, the list of people that have helped me, if you're asking that, as far as getting back, the list of people is so long. The amount of people that I've relied on over the last 2 years. But certainly there's obviously some really important ones, and so thankful for them. And it's something I try to let them know as often as possible, not just today, how thankful I am for all of them and what they have done for me and continue to do for me and my family. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I still got a pretty bitter taste in my mouth right now, I feel like, from that. You never want to go out there and play like that. It was tough and frustrating. Maybe down the line it'll have a more positive spin on it. But right now, pretty bitter taste in my mouth.
So that's a veteran quarterback talking right there, right? Giving all the right answers. I'll do what the team needs me to do. If they need me to start, I'll start. They need me to be the backup, I'll be the backup. There's so many people that I need to thank. There's too many to list right now, but I'm sure I'll do it. I was kind of hoping he was going to say, I'm going to go and have an adult beverage, and then me and my wife are going to have some mommy daddy time. Something, something in there to sort of celebrate, this momentous occasion.
You're probably asking for a little too much there.
I guess so. Anyway, one last question for Alex Smith.
Sorry, I said how close was today to what you were envisioning when you were kind of picturing what it would be like when you would come back?
Yeah, not necessarily envisioning, obviously, that, coming off the bench and rolling, and then certainly not envisioning the downpour, like the quarterback's worst nightmare. But whatever, it was great. It was great to be out there. I've worked, I think the feeling, the range of emotions, the good and the bad, is why I fought so hard to come back. I think sometimes you can take it for granted. And certainly being away from it for a couple of years, I've missed it. So good to be back in it, rolling. And like I said, we'll look at the film and get better and keep moving forward.
I just want to say, Alex Smith is an inspiration for everyone. I mean, yes, he's a football player, but when you have the passion for what you do for your line of work like he does, and then it gets taken away from you, and that passion is still burning, and you fight every day to regain your place in your occupation, in your career, and then you finally attain that goal. My wife and I watched the movie Dark Waters this past weekend, which is about the lawyer who sued DuPont for the chemicals that they basically poisoned the world with. And, it has sort of the same story. And I think that's what we love most about sports is these stories of these men that are playing a game translate so easily to everyone and every walk of life. And so I applaud Alex Smith. Lots of people have already said we don't give out awards, at the quarter point, but Alex Smith, comeback player of the year, I'm good with it. Just make it happen. Might as well just give up now if you're anybody else out there. And I think that's 100% true. I don't think anybody else is going to beat Alex Smith at this point for comeback player of the year. I think that's why I really wanted to play that last clip, was just sort of, again, inspiration for everyone out there. And I know there's a lot of people that are going through some tough times right now, and it's going to get better, and you just got to keep going at it, and you got to keep going through it day by day by day, and you're going to get there. You're going to make your goal.
Yeah, absolutely, Pod. And I think the thing that gets lost a lot of times for a large percentage of fans is that, while we enjoy the games, we have to understand that these are human beings, practically destroying their bodies for our entertainment. And at the end of the day, this is not something that, that they're going to be doing for, on average, a long period of time. The average career is about 5-6 years tops. And, these guys have lives outside of this game. So we all need to be cognizant of that when they take off these pads and these uniforms, they go home to families that they have to take care of, not just, other people, but their own minds and bodies as well. So,
by the way, if you didn't think I caught this for for future use.
The quarterback's worst nightmare.
then you don't know PodVader. Quarterback's worst nightmare. All right. You mentioned that these are humans. Are you sure they're all human? Because Pete Carroll is certainly obsessed with that one wide receiver.
DK, you're on. I get to introduce DK. DK Metcalf's coming up here. Had a pretty big night, looking cool in what he's wearing and all. But he got some bling on too. Anyway, take it, DK. Nice job.
Has Pete Carroll ever been this excited about a player ever? I mean,
probably not since. I mean, oh gosh, Marshawn Lynch when they were going to Super Bowls, maybe Russell Wilson after they turned the offense over to him, but he wasn't this geek. I mean, DK Metcalf is a freak of nature though at his position. I mean, the likes that we haven't seen probably since Moss. And as far as physically imposing, the only thing that's come close or past is Megatron.
I mean,
and I mean he's somewhere like some combination of those two as far as his talent, skill set.
Again,
which is kind of scary.
Yeah, I saw Kyle Brandt bring this up on Good Morning Football. You know, when we have the conversation about best wide receiver in the NFL, you know, we look at DeAndre Hopkins and Julio Jones and Michael Thomas and some other names, but DK Metcalf, while maybe only in his second year, it might be time to start putting him into the conversation.
Absolutely.
And Russell Wilson was asked about DK Metcalf.
Hey, Russ, did those places DK feel like Mexico or feel like back in San Diego?
Yeah, it felt like good old Cabo, or I don't know. You know, it was, it was special.
It was special. It was a special moment with DK Metcalf. Like those days in Cabo. What the heck is he talking about?
Look. Russ said this, and this was reported during the game on Sunday night. In case you missed it, you know he wants he and DK Metcalf's play on the field and their relationship to be akin to Montana and Rice. So definitely lofty shoes to aspire to, but I mean the way that DK is playing, I don't see why not.
It's like days in Cabo special. Whoa. What are you talking about there, Russ? Aren't you married to Ciara? Russ wasn't done with the weird. Ciara, whatever. He's married to married to a pop star. All right. Russ wasn't done with some of his weird quotes here.
Minnesota made it a little tough for you guys at times in the game, but you get the ball back, need 94 yards, 2 minutes left. Just what's going through your head?
I feel like Sue Bird in the clutch, you know?
Sue Bird in the clutch? What? He's having an identity crisis here, Russ.
Well, the Storm did just win the WNBA title.
I mean, I guess. I mean, nice of them to show some love to the WNBA, but I mean, it's just like, whoa. It was just jarring. All right. We got more super happy highlights to come. And let's go to Houston, where they're super happy fun times in Houston right now. Apparently, now that Bob is no longer there, JJ Watt talking about how it was fun again, which is kind of strange, but he wasn't the only one having fun.
We heard that Romeo had some pretty cool old school moves from JJ. Did you get a chance to see it?
Man, he did like 5 dances. He cranked the Soldier Boy. He did the Macarena. He started doing the disco. I didn't know what he was doing. Hey, it was funny though. It was funny, man. That's what's about. NFL games are hard to win. So just playing the league so long, you gotta enjoy each one.
That was Bradley Roby describing the oldest head coach in the NFL, Romeo Crennel, doing the Soldier Boy and the Macarena and the disco, and he didn't know what else he was doing.
Hey, look, the age gap between coaches and players, it's always something to marvel at, especially with guys in Romeo Crennel's age bracket. So,
well, you got to give
how he connects speaks volumes.
Well, give the 73-year-old man credit for doing the Soldier Boy. I mean, that's not necessarily an old school move. I mean, it's probably old school now, but it's certainly not in the 73-year-old man's wheelhouse. The Macarena, maybe.
Not designed for him to do.
Especially Romeo Crennel. We're talking about, I mean, I don't want to fat shame Romeo, but Romeo's got some weight on him.
He's a nice portly gentleman.
It's not like Aaron Donald weight.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move to Cleveland now. Cleveland had a nice big win, and Baker Mayfield putting it into the right perspective.
Lots to learn from, but we leaned on that defense, and we got the yards when we needed it. That's a good team we just played, and the good thing about it is we don't have to learn from a loss. We can get better after a win. So, just the mindset of trying to be just a bunch of big, hairy American winning machines is important.
Big, hairy American winning machines.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we Americans need to be hairy?
Who knows? But I need Baker to settle down and go back into the ether of, it's been a while since I've heard from him, and stay that way. He got a little mouthy during this game, and they paid for it because there were several drives where they just didn't move the ball after they got up big. And if it wasn't for the defense with the pick six and making some crucial plays down the stretch, this offense didn't carry this team like they should have. And they got a little cute there, putting more of the game on his shoulders and not running the ball as much. And again, like I said on Thursday's show, this team will go as far as that backfield takes them. Doesn't matter who's back there. They have a strong offensive line. Keep Baker quiet.
Big, hairy American winning machines. What was that again? I got to learn this.
Big, hairy American winning machines.
Big, hairy American winning machines.
Big, hairy American winning machines.
Big, hairy American winning machines. He was also asked about the injury. He had some x-rays. I unfortunately I wasn't able to cut up the question. He was asked about the x-rays and if he knew the results of those x-rays. And he said that he did not stay at a Holiday Inn last night, so he doesn't know how to read the x-rays. But he was asked about his injury, and this is what he had to say.
Hey, Baker, just to clarify this, were you hurt on the hit from Justin Houston? Is that the rib injury?
To be quite honest with you, I don't know who hit me.
It was an interception.
The interception one, yeah.
Okay. And do you think that this is something you could play through in Pittsburgh?
Oh, yeah. Mama didn't raise no wuss, so.
Mama didn't raise no wuss. Baker Mayfield's ready to go. Break his ribs. He don't care. He's ready to go.
Yeah, good luck against Pittsburgh. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, Baker, did Baker not learn, last year should have been humbling enough for him to remember to stay humble. You won one game. Yeah, you're 4-1, but you can quickly go back to 4-4. It's not going to take that much to fall. There's a couple of those 4 wins that could have gone either way. You ended up on the lucky side.
Especially last week versus Dallas.
Another team that lost this week was the Kansas City Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes looking for a new gig as maybe Captain Obvious.
Hey, Patrick, you guys haven't lost in a while. This is a tough one. So what's your message to the team in the locker room after the game?
Yeah, it's a learning lesson. If you don't play your best football, you lose football games.
First of all, these guys haven't lost in a year, which is sickening enough. But the fact that the reporter comes right out and is like, "Yeah, Patrick, we know it's a tough one. You haven't lost in a while. What do you take away from this?" It's come on. Wait.
What
kind of question was that?
Are you upset Patrick Mahomes fielded a softball question, much like Tom Brady used to field in New England?
That's one of the most ridiculous questions I think I've ever heard out of a reporter. You haven't lost in a long time. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's bust out the violins for the Kansas City Chiefs. Come on. Lost one game. You're still probably going to be number 1 in the power rankings when all is said and done, or at least in the top 3. It's come on. You lost one game. I'm supposed to feel sorry for you now? Come on. No. I don't. And then the obvious.
Of course you don't.
Then the obvious response. You don't play your best games, you're going to lose. No, you don't say, Patrick.
I mean, look, that game, depending on how much you saw, and I saw quite a bit of it early on, they literally took the Raiders for granted. And I get they were playing at home in Kansas City, but they basically just came out and went through the motions and assumed the Raiders would just falter like they have been doing over the last 3+ years. And to their credit, the Raiders kept fighting.
Well, it does appear that there's now a new blueprint on how to play defense against the Kansas City Chiefs. And it started with the Chargers. The Patriots took what the Chargers gave them and upped that a little bit. And then the Raiders essentially copied the Patriots game plan and actually ended up being successful in beating the Chiefs. So there is now a blueprint. Now, how successful it will be, I don't know. I didn't think that the Patriots game plan was all that flawless. I think their coverage was good, and they have the secondary to cover the speedy wide receivers of the Kansas City Chiefs, but I still think they give up way too much room for Mahomes to scramble around. And if Mahomes does decide to take the ball, he's got too much room to just keep making first downs. I think what ends up killing the Chiefs is they're not that patient. They don't want to go on a long extended drive. They want to score their points quickly. They want to punch you in the mouth and get off the field, punch you in the mouth and get off the field. They don't want to just keep chunking it up. And I think that's going to be something that's easy for them to see and fix and figure out because they have the pieces to chunk it up if they need to. It's just right now, that's not what their offensive game plans are doing.
Yeah, and it's just the quick strike teams, like the Chiefs and teams we've seen in the past that, score 5-6 plays or less as far as all their scoring drives. They I'm not saying they tend to burn out, but they tend to fade when in this long season down the stretch because you start running into teams who realize, well, the best way to win is to try to control the clock and control the ball. And I'm not saying time of possession is an issue for the Chiefs. It's just, if the defense is turning the ball over, that helps when you're scoring, 5 to 6 plays or less. But anytime you get stymied, concern creeps in. So,
well, and that's what the philosophy is, right? You hold the ball for as long as possible to keep Mahomes off the field, have him come on, feel the pressure of having to score quickly and have him fail so that the pressure continues to build and mount as the game goes on. And now he's forcing passes he shouldn't be forcing. Although when you do that to Mahomes, he still manages to somehow complete them, which is the outstanding and astounding part of Patrick Mahomes' game.
Yeah.
Let's see the winning side of this equation with the Las Vegas Raiders and Derek Carr. Derek Carr was, I don't know if you'll be able to hear the reporter's question here because the audio is not that great, but the reporter's asking Derek Carr if he was going to have to fight John Gruden for the ball on some of their fourth down possessions.
Hey, Derek, given everything that's gone on in the stadium with that opponent, were you going to have a fight with John Gruden if you didn't put it in your hands on fourth down? A couple fourth downs, but especially that last fourth down.
No fights. I didn't want Chucky to come out. Yeah, I've taken a lot of sad walks up that ramp. You see what I'm saying? But not today. I'm gonna enjoy this one.
Now, see, Derek Carr could have added, I'm going to go home, have a nice adult beverage.
Nah.
No? Come on.
Nah.
I didn't want Chucky to come out. That's pretty funny.
Hey, apropos response considering, his neurotic head coach.
So apparently, Derek was asked a question about a quote unquote rivalry with the Kansas City Chiefs. And as you and I know, James, you can't have a rivalry if it's one-sided. And
absolutely,
the Raiders have definitely been on the wrong side of the win column for too many times for this to really be considered a rivalry. And apparently that was some bulletin board material that was brought to Kansas City. And Derek was asked about this.
Hey, Derek, would you say it's a rivalry yet?
I think we're back. I think we're back a little bit, but of course that'll get posted somewhere. But I hope it doesn't. I hope they get my whole quote and say, it's the world champs, man. And what we were able to do today, so proud, lose 2 in a row, be able to play the world champs and, be able to score some points and our defense getting the stops. I hope they give Gunther a lot of credit for what, he had a tough week. I've had tough weeks around here too. It is what it is. It's part of the business. But yeah, I think again, we have to be able to win football games against these guys to make it a rivalry. We hadn't done that in a long time, Levi. And I know everyone talks about the history and all that kind of stuff. George Atkinson talked about it to the team yesterday in the team meeting. But we have to make it a rivalry, and we have to win games like this to make it like that.
So that's a good answer, right? Because he does have the full quote, but of course he also pointed out the full quote's not going to be used. It's not going to come close. No.
Why would a full quote of anything with context ever be used when it's much more entertaining to take this one little snippet out of context and blow it away out of proportion?
I think we're back. You won one game, dude. And
all
yes,
I'm going to say is
I was glad
the rematch in Vegas will be interesting.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm glad he added the context, right? I'm glad he had the wherewithal to realize what he had said and added the context to it, because you did only win one game. And yes, you lost a couple of close ones, and then you came out and you beat the world champs, who you haven't beaten in a long time. So you have the right to enjoy this, but put it in perspective. And I think Derek does. The other thing that I find interesting, having listened to a lot of these, Derek Carr talks a lot like John Gruden. He's got like the same cadence. He takes the same pauses. He makes the same weird transitions from thoughts. Like he goes off on a different tangent, like in mid sentence. It's kind of funny.
It's a bit weird.
You know who else usually has something to say? Jonathan Abrams. And he was asked about that during his post-game press conference.
Hey, John, we know that you're one to talk a lot on the field. In this instance for this game, is it more of a situation where it's just the heat of the game, or is it more like a targeted, like get them off their game type of situation?
Nah, it just kind of happens. I mean, it's not something that I, look forward to. Sometimes I don't say anything, but in the moment, a lot of people, because I'm kind of expressive with how I talk, so that's why y'all kind of see me talking more than others. Because I feel like everybody out there talks, but I just kind of talk sometimes more than others, or, with passion, if that's the thing.
It kind of sounds like Mike Tyson there, too. It's got a little Mike Tyson in his voice. Not going to lie.
Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth pot.
But he didn't have a plan. That was what he just said. So I don't plan on saying anything. I have so many different cuts cut up here from Jonathan Abrams. All right. I don't know what this one says. We're all going to be surprised by this line. Here we go.
That's the only people we need to believe that we can do it. Honestly, we don't care about what the fans think. We worry about the guys in the locker room.
So that was the line that I took out of context at the in the tease. We don't care what the fans think. Yeah. Jonathan Abrams does not care about what the fans think. He only cares about what his teammates feel and what his teammates think. He was asked specifically about the fact that not a lot of people gave them a chance to win this game. Yeah, we don't care what the fans think. You should care what the fans think.
Look, I don't think anybody predicted that, the Chiefs are going to go undefeated, and most likely they would lose a division game. It's just hard to predict which one and when.
Honestly, we don't care about what the fans think.
That's terrible. What a terrible thing to say, Jonathan Abrams, especially about a show called Next Fan Up. You don't care what the fans think. So disappointing. I think we had a lot more uplifting sound this week. We heard from some losers, but even the losers were uplifting, like Alex Smith. It's a nice change of pace on the not a week recap show.
Well, I mean, is this really not a week recap considering the week isn't over yet?
How dare you bring up the fact that the Bills and Titans, as of the recording of this show, have yet to play their Week 5 game? How dare you?
I mean, provided there is a game tonight, you know. So far, according to NFL Network, as of this moment, which is about 9 a.m. in the morning, no more positive tests for the Titans.
Can't believe you pulled the curtain back that far. That's terrible.
Hey.
But yes, look, still no positives for the Titans, so that is a good thing, which means the game will be on. The only thing that will derail this is if there's a positive on either side of the football. And even then, it may not derail it. Yeah. Well, listen, Buffalo could easily have a positive pop up. I mean, you never know.
They could, but I mean, if you were to tell me a week from now there's another positive test in the NFL, the first team I'm looking at is the Titans.
Well, I mean, here's what I find interesting. All right, you've got an outbreak in Tennessee that affected almost half of the team and staff at this point. I mean, it's probably a little bit of an exaggeration, but not too far off. You have the Patriots
and staff.
You have the Patriots that experienced a minor outbreak in comparison to what the Titans have experienced.
And key players.
Right. But yes, exactly. 2 very key players. And then you have a couple of other teams, such as the Chiefs, where it was only 1 player and the rest of the team didn't get affected. And I think the Chiefs also had their strength and conditioning coach who was infected, which is odd because that's a guy who would have contact with everybody. But apparently there's no further spread in the Kansas City locker room, so that's a good thing. So COVID's going to mess things up. The schedule. Did you see all the changes they had to make to the schedule to
my gosh, most of the
make everything work without an extra bye week?
Look, at last check, I think I saw at least 3 to 4 games involving the Dolphins being moved around.
Oh yeah. It was a crazy. Let me see if I can pull up the official NFL press release that came out, because it affected a number of different teams here. All right, so the Broncos and Patriots got moved back to week 6. They were supposed to play, obviously, this past Sunday. It got moved to Monday, and then that game ultimately got moved to week 6. Now, the Patriots' bye week was supposed to be week 6. Their bye week now became week 5, as did the Broncos. And because of moving the Broncos, they had to move a whole bunch of other teams, which included the Dolphins. The Chiefs and the Bills, their game on Thursday got moved to Monday. Now, what's weird is I don't understand why the Thursday game got moved to Monday, why it didn't just get moved to Sunday. Like what? Why are we moving it to Monday?
So I think 2 things to consider here. One, the broadcast team who covers the game probably already have an assignment for Sunday. So you move it to Monday, you keep it in prime time.
Well, except the game's going to be kicked off at 5:00, which is not prime time.
Is meaning as one of the only games on TV. It's a Thursday night. The Thursday night game is usually on the game on TV. You move it to Sunday. I'm not saying it gets lost in the shuffle, but there's no way Aikman and Buck can do double duty depending on where they decided to, where the consideration was, if there was any, for a Sunday time slot. They already have a game to do on Sunday. So now they just bolt to wherever their Sunday location is and then a 24-hour jaunt back to the Monday night location.
To me, it's still an odd time, but all right, fine. So the Chiefs Bills are now week 6 on Monday, kicking off at 5 p.m. Eastern. Jets Dolphins moved from week 10 to week 6. Jets Chargers moves from week 6 to week 11. Jaguars Chargers moves from week 8 to week 7. Chargers Broncos moves from week 11 to week 8. Chargers Dolphins moves from week 7 to week 10. And the Dolphins Broncos game moves from week 6 to week 11. So that is the litany of changes they had to do to make everything work without adding another bye week. Apparently, from what I'm hearing from the reporters, is the NFL doesn't want to add an extra bye week at the end of the year because they feel that teams are going to get complacent about the protocols and be like, well, if anything happens, we just have that week at the end of the year. We'll take care of it. I think that's foolish thinking.
It is, and it probably should have been double buys this year just because of what we're dealing with, to allow more flexibility in the schedule. We weren't look, we knew that at some point there was going to be some way that the season was going to be impacted. We didn't foresee, predict, or fathom how exactly that would play out. We're seeing it now. I feel like the moment week 3 was thrown off and you had to move games starting then, something should have been done. Obviously, you can't add a secondary bye week, but there should have been a break in the schedule, probably between weeks 8 and 10, so that 8, 9, 10 area of the season, where you basically just push everything back a week and just allow for another space where there's absolutely nothing happening. It doesn't hurt to have a week off for everybody. Now, yeah, I know you get into the logistics. Some teams will have 2 weeks off because of the preceding week that they're off. So be it. But at least with that full week, no games, you allow for normalcy for whatever the season is to come back to a level field where hopefully there are no more outbreaks. I'm looking at you, Tennessee. And I'm still waiting on the so-called punishment that's coming down for the Titans. That was supposed to be, I guess it's supposed to be announced, sometime today or tomorrow, but definitely before Thursday, from what I've been hearing from Monday Morning Quarterback, listening to them last week. But there's supposed to be some big punishment. I keep hearing things like the hammer is going to be brought down. I don't know what this hammer is supposed to be. I've seen a litany. Look, in 40 years of watching the NFL, I've seen a litany of punishments, from fines, suspensions, I have loss of draft picks, just even coaches being suspended, but never have I seen either of the following: a ban of any player or personnel of any type, and the forfeiture of games. And if you start using things like the hammers coming down on this team in unprecedented ways, new numbers for fines is not unprecedented. I don't care if a team is fined $5 million. Whoa. Yeah, it's a lofty amount of money. It's never happened before, but big freaking deal. $5 million a team is fined. So what? That doesn't move the needle for me. Teams are fined millions of dollars every year for something, whether it's tampering or disobeying the rules or some other nonsense, whatever have you. But until I see a player or team personnel be banned from the league, or a team actually be forced to forfeit its games, lose me with the extreme the extreme forecast of some severe punishment coming down, because I don't know what that is yet. And those are the only two things that I can think of in the extreme realm that have never happened.
So a lot there to unpack. One, I don't want to see any forfeits. To me, that's terrible.
I don't either.
And especially because of the poorly written wording of the acceptance of forfeits, if necessary, by the NFLPA, it will take away paychecks from the team that had nothing to do with the forfeit, which is ridiculous. The fact that the NFLPA lawyers wrote the agreement in that way, in a way that it could be turned against them, is terrible. The fact that anything of this could be turned into some sort of labor agreement is ridiculous. Like, it's not about agreeing to labor principles. It's about doing what's right and what's safe and fair. To me, that's what it's all about. And to go back to one of my proposals for what they should have done with this schedule, where you take each division, like we know the divisions play opposing divisions on a weekly basis. You make those divisions play in a quarterly fashion, and then you set a bye week, and it's an if necessary bye week. In other words, if there is some reason that you need to reschedule games, it gets rescheduled to that bye week. And if you don't need the bye week, then the bye week gets removed. And it would be easy to do all of this because there are no fans in the stands, which would be the most logistical nightmare ever, where you sold tickets to a game on this date and it gets moved to this date, and now it's going to get moved to this date. But that's sort of what's going on here, is these owners are holding out hope that they can get fans in the stands to make more money. That's 100% what all of this is about. And some of these stadiums are already allowing fans in the stands. And it's also interesting to see where in Kansas City, they've got the proper social distancing, and you've got fans that are literally sitting all the way up in the nosebleeds. And in Pittsburgh, they had social distancing, but they had no one in the upper deck, which I thought was really odd. But in any case, COVID is causing havoc with the schedules. It's causing havoc with fantasy football. As Paul wrote in from New Zealand, nobody cares about your friend's fantasy team pod, so I won't complain about fantasy football anymore. But yeah, it's gonna be a weird year, and ultimately, hopefully, we can avoid any sort of forfeits, and hopefully, the NFL can figure out how to get every team to play 16 games and get into the playoffs, and we get a Super Bowl. And if the Super Bowl happens to be a little bit late this year, I'm okay with it, just as long as we get every single game played. I don't want to see forfeits, that's for sure, because a forfeit, my friend, is the
quarterback's worst nightmare.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, look, Pod, to take a little bit from what you said as far as keeping things safe and fair, I'm more concerned with safe than fair. And look, we still don't even know to this point because the NFL hasn't released any findings. And, of course, you can't trust a team to police themselves and do their own investigation because they'll bury information. However, the outbreak happened in Tennessee, heads need to roll for that. And I don't care whether it was a player, team personnel, front office, staff, whatever. They need to be punished. And look, they when we look back on this years from now, provided this pandemic goes the way of the dodo sooner than later, and 5+ years from now we look back on this, we're going to look at the season that was pretty much upended by two things: the pandemic and the Titans, because they are the catalyst. Unfortunately, they've had the most, and granted, they may not have been the first to have people test positive, but they've had the most to this point. And unfortunately for them going forward, as we look back on the season, the more we get removed from it, they're going to be looked at as the catalyst for this season being thrown out of whack. Again, 24 players and personnel to this date from the initial first test. And to think this all started in week 3 with their game against the Vikings, who still have not had a positive test to this date.
Yeah. Atlanta only had the one, AJ Terrell. It's also quite fascinating considering that's a state. Aren't you guys wide open? Don't you have a Republican governor?
God, don't get me started on that nonsense. We'd be here all day.
And we've been here for long enough. There's no Thursday night football game, so there will not be a Thursday night football preview tomorrow. So you get to listen. That's why we did a little extra longer here on the not a week 5 recap.
But still one game to play.
Yeah, still one game to play. We'll have all of the Thursday previews coming to you for week 6 on Thursday. And then there may or may not be superfan battles coming to you on Friday. That's something that happens week to week. I never know if there'll be superfan battles or not. Interesting that Monty, we made a big deal about Monty putting up a wager, and of course Monty comes out the victor. And now Nick will have to do a thorough review of the music stylings of Travis Kelce. Can't wait.
Oh, this will be fun.
Oh yeah, can't wait. That'll be on our YouTube channel. You can go to our YouTube channel. There's not a lot there. We often post our show on YouTube there. There's some other videos there. I believe my ode to Patrick Mahomes is there. A couple of other of our wagers are on our YouTube channel. Next Fan Up on YouTube. It's pretty easy to find, but it's not the most exciting YouTube channel. We don't do a lot of videos. If we had more super fans making wagers, we'd probably have a lot more videos because we tend to get kind of creative with our super fan wagers.
I mean, I would pod, but I like my team to win.
Yeah, I don't like doing wagers either because usually when I wage, I lose.
Exactly. So you know where I'm coming from.
The nextfanup@gmail.com. That's how you get in touch with us, just like Paul did from New Zealand. At NFU Podcast is our Twitter, and Facebook.com/NFU Podcast is a great place to keep the conversation going as well. All of Doc's recipes are there, et cetera, et cetera. Make sure you tell a friend about us. We're everywhere great podcasts are heard. Apparently you loved us on Pandora last week. Hi, Pandora. Love you back. Until Thursday, here's Kofi Annan. There you have it.
Dear friends and colleagues, saying goodbye is never easy. I believe we can all feel proud of what we have done together. And through it all, you have maintained your professionalism and commitment and remained true to the spirit of the Charter. That principle.
We go out, we hit people in the mouth.